this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Monday, August 15th, 2022. Already halfway through the month of August, and I'm here for my weekly cross-stitching update. I do also have a little bit of quilt update at the end. So if you're interested in that, you can hang out at the end and I'll share that. Let's see. I guess I'll do some Happy Mail first. I got some stuff again from the Fat Quarter Shop. They send me some of their newer releases every little bit just to share with you or to keep, and some I'll keep, I think, and some I'll share with you. So this is one I think I'll keep because it's just really cute. It's the new Stitch cards by Laurie, Holt, and they're so precious. I like almost all of them. I don't know that I would make that one, but I like the strawberries and the teacup. Very cute. Here's a close-up of that samplery one. These are really small, but you could probably find lots of different things to do with them. Coasters, cards, patch them together to make something bigger. You could even stitch them on some of these, like this style of project bag. You can stitch on the count to make them personalized. Lots of things. And of course, I've thought about doing all sorts of things. I just haven't done it yet. That's okay. Let's see. I don't know that I will keep any of these. And I'm not sure what words to use for giveaways. So let's see. Let's start with this one. You are the boss of your own quilt, which is a cross-stitching pattern, but it has quilt blocks in it. And there's another angle. I saw somebody on Instagram, perhaps, this was starting this, and they're changing the words to be personalized for somebody they know as a gift, I believe. So that's a fun idea. You could put names and dates in there. You could put another phrase. So, but it is a very cute pattern. So even if you don't like that phrase, but yeah, that's a fun one. So I guess use the word boss if you want this one. I'll do a giveaway for this anywhere in the world is fine. And I guess I'll put these separately. This is one, Citrus Summer, which I already have a copy of this from the Stitch Quarterly, but I believe it's out for everybody now. Like a mason jar with lemonade. And it is stitched on this like fabric, that design, which is pretty fun. So it's called Curved Tile by Fabric Flare, and the cover is on 14 count Aida, so anybody can stitch it. So do the word citrus if you would like this pattern. And I'm thinking this one might need to be US only, but there's a combo cross stitch and quilt pattern called Support Group for breast cancer awareness, I believe. So yeah, and you can even donate on the back there with their QR code. It also comes with a needle minder. So everything is all together. So I'm not sure if I should do these separately or together, because there's some people that might want to quilt but not want to cross stitch, and vice versa. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do separate, but then I don't know what word to use. Maybe I'll do it all together, just so I have one word, one shipment, and because I have something non-paper, it'll need to be US only. So if you would like this bundle, use the word support, and you'll get the cross stitch pattern and the quilt pattern and the needle minder. So that'll be fun. So boss, citrus, and support. And I'll try not to mess it up like I did the last giveaway. And I have my anniversary finish. This is my fully finished object from my anniversary sampler that I did. And it's framed in an 8x8 frame from Michaels. It's 8x8. It came with a mat that was matted to 5x5. I took the mat out, and it was actually like a double mat. I ripped off one of the pieces so it would be thinner and wrapped my fabric around the mat and popped it back in. I laced it, made sure it was even. Actually, I had a lot of extra fabric on the edges. So I actually measured, like, here's the edge of my stitching, and I measured out 2 inches, I believe, from, I guess I figured out like how much margin I would need. So I had like 7 stitches until the edge of the frame, and then 2 inches beyond that. And I made it exactly even all the way around. It was also easier to center the mat on it for lacing after the fact. So I think it turned out really nice, and it's sitting over here on our dresser next to our engagement photos, which were taken 20 years ago. So, and this, as I shared last week, this is Soda Stitch by the Window in the Morning, pattern by Soda Stitch. And I made lots of changes, but you can look those up in my last video. I talked about that. So there's that, yay! Oh, and when I gave it to him, so I said, so I have a present for you. And he said, what did he say? It's like, oh, he picked it up because it was wrapped, and he said, this feels like a cross stitch. He's like, when did you have time to do this? And I told him I was stitching on it right in front of you for the last few months. He's like, wow. He had no idea. So, but I think I'm right that if I had started to work on the words when he was around, he might ask questions, be like, oh, what does that say? You know, so I'm glad I waited and did the words when he wasn't around at the end. So I know. After 20 years, I figured him out. Okay, so let's do travel stitching. And my first one is my temperature wander with me that I'm doing for the temperatures for this year. This is for the cat version, and I also have walk with me, which is a dog version to walk along the streets, and has a puppy dog and, you know, little dog related items. This one has cat related items. So I had another week this week where it was a double paw week, so I didn't get anything more done on the little items, but I got 2 paws finished. So this is 27 count Linda in Vintage Country Mocha, 1/1 full cross. And I rounded the corner. I'm coming back the other way. So these are my 2 new paws. Got a little bit lighter, lower temperatures, like early, I think it was 91 maybe, but then it got it got warmer, and some of there's, I think that this toe pad right there is 102. So that's how hot it got this past weekend. This weekend was hot as well. I don't think quite that hot. But that was that. 100, 101. So far I still have the top 2 temperatures on my hot range I still haven't gotten yet. Which my cover pictures, when I designed this, I believe I stitched it in 2017, the very first temperature garden I stitched in 2017, and that's the year I got, I believe 2016 also did it, also included all the temperatures in that hot range that I created just for this area. In 2017, you'll see in my temperature garden that I made it all the way to the top. We got to like 111 a couple days, and all the way to the bottom, which was 50 or below for the high temperature. And every year since then, we have not gotten to the extremes on both ends. So I think there's been some years where we get to the coldest, but not the hottest, you know, or I don't know that I've ever gotten to the hottest again since 2017. So it's kind of interesting. Like I designed that like hot range for my town when I first made this, and it doesn't work anymore, but that's all right. I'm not mad that I'm not living through 110 degrees, but it is interesting that I'm not reaching those colors. So I might actually need to adjust the next time next year, and maybe make a slightly different range for myself. And as always, some of you already know, if you buy a temperature pattern from me and you look at there's usually 4, I think the quilt might have 7, but there's usually 4 temperature ranges included so that you can find one that's closer to your area. If for some reason they're significantly not right for your area, just let me know, and I can make a custom one for you. And I have made enough custom ones for some of the more popular patterns that I might even have something closer already made that I can just send you right away. So just ask if you're having trouble figuring it out on your own. But some of the fun of it is picking one that you think will work and will be close and then seeing what happens. So the other thing is go to some place like AccuWeather.com on their website, or some other source that has historical temperatures, and look at last year's temperatures, all the high temperatures, not the lows. Most of my patterns just have highs. There's a few with lows. And just see what the temperatures were in June through August, and then see what they are January through December through February, and then figure out roughly what you can expect for your caps, for the highs and for the lowest highs and the highest highs. And then use that as your gauge for picking which temperature range key from my design to pick. Because sometimes I see people stitching them and they seem shocked that it's not turning out the way they expected. So I just want to give you a tip that if you check your historical temperatures, you're more likely to pick the right one, or pick one that's more accurate, or maybe adjust it a little bit to suit a little better. So just a little tip. So I also worked on my temperature butterflies a little bit, and I'll share more. I'll probably sprinkle it throughout, and I'll share more as I talk about my main pieces for the week. But I was able to visit Julie from Stitching at the Cabin. I believe it's Stitching at the Cabin, because there's somebody else on Instagram that's stitching in the cabin or something. I didn't remember who's who. She lives here in Southern California, and we were able to meet up. I was so excited. So we spent the day chatting about stitching. we didn't actually stitch that much, but we got some pictures taken of some of the projects we have that are the same, which are really fun. So I'll be sprinkling those throughout the video. First one is temperature butterflies, because she is working on this as well. So I'll share that in a second. So here's mine, where I got to so far this week. This is the current one I'm working on, I think is May 2002 temperatures. And so this is 32 count, 1/1 full cross. I got a few more patches in there, and it is feeling a little lighter of a butterfly than this one. This one had a few hot patches, but overall this one doesn't have as many darker like greens and blues. So it is definitely changing throughout the year. It's interesting to see where we have like pops of hot or pops of cold. It's kind of how our weather works. So it's interesting. So I'll put a picture in here of our projects together, because it was really fun to see the same thing on two different fabrics. Mine is 32 count over 1, and hers is, I believe, 32 count over 2. So it's twice the size, which is really fun. Actually, would it be 4 times the size? Possibly. I don't know, but it's really fun. Hers is also a jewel tone conversion, so that's why the colors look a little bit different, because she changed them up. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun to stitch with her and to chit chat. I also got out my year in stitches by the Victoria sampler. This is you can find these on her creative designs section of her website, and I'm working in June. Not a ton finished, but I did work on this a little bit while I was waiting to pick up my kids throughout here's the whole thing. This is on 28 count Dove Gray Monaco, mostly 2/2 full cross, because there are specialty stitches and there will be 1/1 little pieces in it. So I wanted to make sure I got a 28 count, but most of it is 2/2, so they're all big. And I got the arbor mostly finished. I got the dark green finished, the white finished, and put some light green in here as well, and purple. Started in on the purple. And then there's some pink flowers, and there's lots of colors in these. Each of these has quite a few color changes, but it is very cute and fun. So I'm hoping to keep chipping away at that now that I have school drop off and pick up. It's different than last year, but so I don't get quite as much time as I did before, but some, and I will take it. Every little bit counts. All right, I did not actually work on my Under the Sea Club this week because instead of calling my sister and working on that, I went and visited with Julie. So that's what happened there. I thought about it, I'm like, oh, I guess I didn't work on that this week. So that's too bad. I also didn't get to Knitting Woman at all, but I'm hoping to rectify that. I'm hoping. This week was crazy because when your kids go back to school, you end up with homework because you're not only trying to figure out your new schedule, when you have to do what and when you have to pick up who, and I have 3 different schools this year to worry about, but now I have 2 in upper grade schools, so I have syllabuses to sign and forms to fill out and things like that. So some of my pieces for Arbitrary August got like 20 minutes, 1 string of floss, very, very pitiful amounts, but I touched them. That's what matters. So no work on a bonus piece was even remotely possible this week because I got less than my typical amount of bonus stitching on my focus piece for the day. So it was pretty sad some days, but I did stitch every day. It's just not very much at all. So I'm hoping if this week might settle down a little bit more into a routine, and I might be able to get back to doing this a little bit every day in the afternoon. I would like to, because it's been a long time since I've pulled this out, and I still want to finish it by November. So if I need to get going. I need to actually maybe do some new calculations to see how many stitches per day I should be shooting for, because it's probably a lot higher than it was before. So I'll give you a before of this because as a incentive for myself and accountability to get this out. So here is Knitting Woman. This is 22 count, 2 over 1 half stitches. And it's a very light coverage. You can see lots of fabric show through on the dark colors, but I have heard lots of people say they like the look. It looks kind of, vintage, old pattern. So as you can see, I've been filling in from the top down. So there's a lot of, you can kind of see more stuff happening down here, but it's still very patchy. So I'm hoping to make good progress. So I will do some calculations as well and see, maybe even put it up here on the screen somewhere, how much I should do if I wanted to get this done by, let's say, by the end of October, so I have a little cushion. So we'll see. That might not be possible, but they are half stitches, so that helps a little bit. I think that's everything, so we can jump into what I worked on this week. I worked on that later. So let's start with my main piece for the first 3 days this past week, which was Antique Shoe Collection by Busilla. This, I'm assuming, is my oldest whip. Although since I saw the date on here is 2000, I have some other ones that I think I may have started in high school, but I don't know. So high school, college age, whenever I started those things, they all kind of lumped together in my brain because it was a long time ago. So I'm going with this one as my oldest, but I have another one also by the Cooler Design Studio. I don't know that, I haven't seen this one on their website currently, but it might be there. Sometimes they change the names for the new, when they put it up on their current site, because I have another one that's called To Everything a Season Sampler, which is also a contender for my oldest whip. And that one is on the Cooler Design Studio website as traditional sampler. And I bought it and it is pattern keeper compatible. So except for the specialty stitches, that one doesn't have that much back stitching. This has a lot of back stitching, so it might not be that helpful for pattern keeper, but that one, the other one is, and that the traditional sampler to everything a season sampler, it has quite a few color changes, and so I'm really excited the next time I get that one out to actually use pattern keeper, and I'm excited to try to get that one finished a little sooner. But this is where I got on this one. This is likely antique white. It's 14 count Ada that came in the kit. It looks antique white. And I got more on the shoe. Didn't finish the shoe, which could have been a fun goal, but the first day I worked on it, I got a whopping 15 minutes. The second day I worked on it, I got a whopping 15 minutes. Finally, on the last day, I had 1 hour and 15 minutes. So this is one of those that I don't really feel like working on, but once I start, it's like, oh yeah, I want to get this section done. And then I actually have motivation to get it going. But again, not a lot of stitching time this week, but it got touched on 3 days, which is my whip go goal for these fancy lady or fancy lady adjacent projects. So this one, the goal has been met. Even if the shoe is not finished. So I can cross that one off. And then I pulled out Spring Roundels, which was my first Arbitrary August pick for last week. And this one I got 15 minutes. Seems to be a theme. I actually, on Saturday, I went through and I worked on 3 of, I think, yeah, well, no, 2 of my Arbitrary August pieces and 1 that I started with Julie, and just went through and finished the string on all of them because I didn't want to leave all these with strings hanging. I like to kind of finish the string and just put it away like fresh when I'm, because I don't know when I'm going to get out again. I know some people have an opposite opinion of that. They like to leave the string there so they know where to start when they pick it up again. But I like to have the string worked in, and then I can do what I want to do when I pick it up next, whatever I'm feeling like. So I got another 7 minutes on Saturday. So not a lot of time on this one, but that's okay. So this is where this one's at now. This is 32 count. It looks like a cream or an ivory or something, linen. I don't actually know what it's called. But I did a tiny bit of the medium pink over here, and that's it. So basically there was some thread on my needle, finished that and started 1 new thread and finished that thread. And the threads were cut pretty small. So I did like 1.5 threads on this one. Not a lot. I wish I could have done more, but I'm okay with calling it good for now. And because I have too many other things I want to try to get to throughout August. So I don't want to keep coming back to them over and over, but I did make a point to go back and finish some strings. So on Friday, I went to visit Julie and we started together this pattern, which is called Victorian Village. And I bought it innocently thinking it was a legitimate source, and it ended up not being, so I can't recommend the source, but it is a very long, skinny piece that's originally a Russian kit, maybe? I don't know, only sold as a kit. So I'm able to kit it up myself. So fun. But we started this together, and I decided to do mine on 28 count. And I'm actually starting on the right hand side because I roll my fabric up in my hand, and I hold it in my hand usually from the bottom. And I suppose I could stitch it sideways, but that just would mess with my head, I think. But because I hold it with my left hand, I figured, well, I'll roll it from the left and start stitching on the right and then work my way that way. So far it's working. It's a little odd, but it's working. So here is my starting point. We actually started it on the same color of fabric. This is 28 count Lugana, 1/1 full cross, and this is half cross actually for the bush. I believe a lot of the bush backgrounds are half stitches, but it's the start of a little house on the roof, so that's exciting. Again, not a lot. I think, let's see, like 260 stitches roughly. So not a big start, but it's something. And I'll put a picture in here of our fabric before we started, so there's no stitching to show, but it's just the difference. I believe hers is 20 count Ada and mine's 28. And she hasn't cut it off, but it's, I think, the right width of what she needed to get the right width. And then mine has been cut down to size with the 2-inch border, so you can see the size difference of the two different counts of fabric. So that's fun, but the same color. And then also while we were together, we took pictures of our Villa Mirabilias because we both started those a very long time ago. We found out we're close in age. So the things that we started when we were teenagers and young adults stitching are similar because the stuff that was around then, easy to find, was around the same time. So she started this when she was a teenager. I started it in my young adulthood. And so she's had longer on it. Hers is actually finished, so she's just waiting to get it framed. Mine is not finished, but I thought it would be fun to show those pictures together. Hers might be a 28 count. She couldn't remember, over 2, and mine is 32 count over 2. So the size is not significantly different, but it was fun to see those big, beautiful projects right next to each other. After I got home that day, I pulled out my Blackwork Flower with Butterflies, which was the Arbitrary August pick for that day. So I figured I'd stitch on Victorian Village while we were together, and then later, when after dinner, I'd work on this. And I got 30 minutes on it that night. Not a lot, but later I did another 15, so about 45 minutes on this one, which was, I think I had a short length of black that I started with in this petal, and then I did a whole nother long normal piece of black. So that's, I worked on that petal right there. It's not, that petal's not done, but I made some progress on the black work. So this is light blue even weave by Zweigart that you can find at Hobby Lobby. 28 count, I believe. The cross stitches are 2/2, and back stitching is whatever's called for. So mostly 1 strand, and then like the edging is 3 strands and things like that. So yeah, so that petal right there is what I kind of filled in most of it with the black. So you can see the difference side by side of what it looked like before. And her Leslie Tears black work does have little cross stitches throughout it to give it some color and pop. So beforehand it looks kind of boring, but then you add the pattern of black work and it's like, whoo, striking. So that's fun. So again, not a ton of time, but a little bit, and it was enjoyable to get it out again. Saturday I gave Spring Roundels, Victorian Village, and Blackwork Flower all just a little bit more. And then I pulled out my, just to finish threads, then I pulled out the Cupcake, what is it called? Cupcake Dreams by Tilton Crafts. This was a freebie. I haven't looked it up, so I don't know if it's still available or not. And worked on this for 321 stitches. So Saturday was a decent day for stitching, so I kind of got things caught up and was able to put a nice little chunk into this one. This one is charted with a white background, like just solid white, and I said no thank you. I'm not stitching the background, but I'm stitching it on this pretty pale green Jubilee fabric. It's like a mint green. And here is where I got to. And I think it's coming along really well. It's so much fun working on all those different pinks. This is 28 count 1/1 full cross. And I'm doing the typewriter method where I pick top to bottom, left to right. So this top area is all finished. And thankfully in here, I was starting to get in some of these dark pinks that ended up making the shapes of the strawberries come together. So that's really fun. And I just worked the thread until it ran out. There were a couple colors that ended up with like dots down here of very little stitching, but I didn't want to go that far. Since there's a lot in here that's different colors, I didn't want to have like strings stretched along the back from carrying and holding onto it in my roll for a long time before I actually get to that section. So I just figured I'd just wait and kind of use this as a rough stopping area and just focus on the top. So here's my back if you're wondering. Yes, I carry threads on something like this because it's going to get stitched over. So just be careful with your tension if you're stitching in hand because you don't want it to be pulling. And because I stitch in hand, I tend to run my stitches underneath other stitches if there are things there to run under, because that helps keep the tension proper. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed working on that one. I'm glad I was able to get that out. So far Arbitrary August has been fun, if not 100%, if not super successful. Not a lot of time on some of these, but still fun. Then Sunday, I was able to put in about an hour on Sampler of Stitches, and I also got 40 minutes on Sampler of Stitches on Monday. Oh yeah, I filmed on Tuesday last week, because I was like, did I show you that? But I think I did. So this is what it looks like all together. This is by The Drawn Thread. You buy this in 9 different patterns. You can find them on the Drawn Threads website. And each one comes with whatever embellishments are needed for that particular quadrant. I was gifted this whole shebang very generously. So this is the one I'm working on. I've been working on the N. Got another hour. It's not quite done. I just have this one left to do. I just started it, but I didn't have time to finish it. So next Sunday, I'll pull this out again. Oh yeah, I have the actual N is not yet done either. So finish this one next week and the N and see if I can get in on the O as well. So we will see how my time looks this week. This past week, it wasn't great. So here is Sampler of Stitches now, and this is on 30 count custard cream linen, which is the called for linen and all the called for MPIs, and a Veriswa as well for the creamy colors. So here is the N. So I got the lighter Norwich stitches finished, and this one, which is very strange, and I'm sure I probably should have put it on a hoop or something, because those stitches are long and they're just tacked at the edges and woven, so it was really hard to keep good tension in hand. But as you can see, if you pull it taut, it works. So and then the pink one here in the middle, I did that one. That one was really easy. And I got a little start on this one down here, but it's not, I need to go all the way across and then stitch the end. So didn't get enough done, enough time on it yesterday to do very much, but a little bit. And that's what matters. So just got to be thankful for what I get in each season. Comes and goes. All right, so this coming week, I will be working on my first full coverage Whip-Go draw for August, which was Mini Bird Song by Tatiana Fedorova. There's the cover page, but I also printed out a bigger picture of the actual design because it's so small on the other one. So I'm up at the top. I believe I've come over farther. But I still have more sky, I believe. So I'd like to get 1,000 stitches on all of these Whip-Go projects. So, and this is a half stitch project. So if I'm running short on time, I can try to get in, bust out some sky faster. I might need to do that. We'll see how it goes. So this one is on 40 count Vertil, 1/1 half stitches. And here is my starting point. So I believe this is the edge over here, but I have the first page finished. And I believe I want to try like doing basket weave over here. So we'll see. I don't have a lot of the sky left, but I feel like, yeah, I have more of the sky done than I thought. That's really nice. But I love the detail, even though this is a mini. It helps that it's 40 count probably, but it looks really pretty. Like there's a morning glory. I believe this is a bird. So yeah, we'll see what I do. See how much I can get done for 3 days to hopefully put in 1,000 stitches on this. So we'll see. I need to get a new needle. It's bent. Trying to get it underneath the back, the stitches on the back, I think is why that happened. I tend to use like a beading needle for these 40 count over 1 because it needs something really tiny, but then it's more flimsy. So okay, now I'm going to draw for Arbitrary August to see what I'm working on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of this coming week. And then I'll work on Sampler of Stitches again on Sunday. So that's my plan for this week. Here we go. I'm so excited. See what I'm going to get to work on this week. Ooh, Spring Floral Cross. I have all 4 crosses started, and so I get to work on the spring one. That's fun. I think all 4 of them are on here too, because I haven't worked on any of them yet this year. So that'll be a nice one, because 14, they're all on 14 count, because I'm just doing whatever came in the kit, and sometimes you need that, like my antique shoe collection. So hopefully I'll have time to work on that one a good amount. Let's see what's next. The fall floral cross, so that's fun. I wonder if I'll get winter or summer for the next one. Let's see. So spring and fall. Ooh, in the beginning. That's an oldie but a goodie. That one I know I started in college, so I started that probably around the same time as I started the antique shoe collection, and it's on 18 count Ada, so another one that's going to be fairly easy to stitch on. So that's exciting. I'm excited about all of those, and it's kind of funny that I pulled 2 crosses in the same week. So I'll go get those and show you my starting point, and then I'll share my quilty update at the end. So one moment. Okay, so the first one was Spring Floral Cross. This is a Janlin kit, and I have spring, summer, and winter all as a Janlin kit, which came kitted up with all the floss and 14 count Ada in a variety of colors. The winter one I believe is pale green, the summer one is white, and the spring one was light blue. And so they stopped making those Janlin kits, but you can still find the patterns on Cooler Design Studio, and they sell them at Everything Cross Stitch as well. So this is the fall one that I got as a pattern as a gift a little later. So because all of the other 3 were on a variety of fabrics, I decided to do this one on Oatmeal Ada because I figured that would be a pretty complement to the fall colors, and still 14 count to match all the other ones that were kit products. So this is my starting point on the spring one, on the light blue Ada, 14 count, using all the kit floss. So all of these I start in the middle, and I worked, hopped, skipped, and jumped my way, basically did 1 or 2 lengths of thread in each color till I got to the top, and now I'm working completely from the top down. So I believe like this is done, except for backstitching. I would need a larger section, I think, done before I'll backstitch it. So I haven't quite done any backstitching yet, but so this time around I might work some more up here in these sticks and maybe do some letters. I don't know, we'll see what I have time for. But yeah, so there's the starting point on spring floral cross. The fabric is super stiff, but I think it's finally tamed in my rolls, so it shouldn't be too hard to hold. I think at first I had been using like these thread peels to hold the roll tight, because otherwise my hand would hurt trying to hold it tight because it's so stiff. But it feels like it's remembered. It's like got a memory now of that roll, so I probably don't need to do that anymore, which is really nice. And then this is the fall one, super pretty. And this one is on, oh, not a lot done on this one, so it'll be fun to do more on this one. So this is 14 count Aida as well, probably just my original start on this one. I think spring has come up again for other things. So again, center start, kind of hop, skip, and jump. These look like the tops, at least this one, top of an acorn. That's cute. There's some light stitches there, and then I started the top row of letters. So I will maybe put in some more letters, do whatever more is up here to get that looking nice, and see where we go with that one. So again, just one day on all of these, so depending on the day, as you saw this past week, may not get a whole lot on anything, but if I can get one strand of floss on these, at least I will be happy. Hopefully more than that. And then this one is In the Beginning, is what I'm calling it. This was also an old kit from the 90s, probably. And the first words are in the beginning. So it's like got the words from Genesis. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth, but then the land and sea, the fish and fowl, all the living creatures, great and small, which is not scripture, but it's kind of encompasses creation. So I have a good amount of this done. I think I'm maybe still working on the peacock. So we'll see what I work on this time. This was not done with kit stuff, but I figured out a DMC conversion and used 18 count Aida. That barely fits. This looks like a little over an inch at the top. So I probably just picked what was in the store that fit technically, even if it wasn't very much. So this, I've been doing each little animal like completely. So the parrot is all the way done, butterfly is done, giraffe's done, this hummingbird's done, the monkey's done, that bird in the nest is done. The peacock's head is finished, but the rest of it's not. So I think last time I might have come up and did some of this, so I could do the stars and the moon. That would be fun. Could do more on the peacock and the surrounding foliage, or I could even start working on the words. But I think I want to finish. I like top down now, so I think when I started this, I probably did the center, figured out where that was, and then kind of moved away over here. And then, anyways, so. Another one that could claim oldest whip status. And I'm glad to pull this out again and work on it, because it's really fun. I like all the bright colors. So yeah, I mean, looking at this, it's possible there'll be some little pink flowers as well that I could put in along here. I'm not sure. And then I could work on those moon and stars to get that finished, that whole section finished. That could be nice. Maybe I'll focus on that. And the next time do the more on the peacock. All right, so I guess that's all of my cross stitching, which is really exciting. I'm looking forward to that. So moving on to quilting, I decided to participate in another Fat Quarter Shop quilt along. Last year I did their So Happy quilt along, which was a little small quilt that said, spelled out the words So Happy, S-E-W, and a sewing machine. And that was really fun, and it got me to thinking. I did some quilting in high school and college, and did like flower applique and some just pieced blocks, and it was fun. When I did this So Happy one, I realized I like making like pictures and letters and items with the quilt blocks, because I think that's really fun and kind of a creative use of my time. So eventually I think it would be fun to make quilted project bags, so that I have a picture that I've made out of quilt pieces and then turn it into a project bag, so then I don't keep a million quilts. I will be making the whole quilt of this, but it will give me some, you know, ideas and spin-offs. So it's starting out with this book, Scrappiness is Happiness by Laurie Holt. And all the blocks in the book are, oh, I left the actual pattern on my desk. I will put a picture in of the pattern, the actual pattern that I'm going to be making, which includes like one of everything in this book. So they have quilts made with each of the blocks as the whole quilt. And then I'm making one quilt that's like got all of them in it. But it's kind of a fun way to use up your stash. I'm gonna try to get a picture that's like, well, so here's an example of that particular block, and they made it into a quilt with all of those blocks. This particular Scrappiness is Happiness sampler block, I guess, sampler quilt will have one of these, you know, in it, and then I'll add it to all the rest of them. So that's kind of my idea. Here's another one that's got like a diamond print. I'll do one of those to be part of my quilts. Some of these pages have, here's one with like a flower design. So I like the idea of doing this. This one has, oh, I can't show that one because it has some pattern on it as well. This one's good. Shows the apples. So you're making an item. So I think that's really fun. So anyways, they gave me a little bit of startup money. So I spent some of that on the book and some of it on fabric. I also have leftovers from the So Happy quilt that I did last year, and I have leftovers from the quilts I made in high school and college. So I will try to incorporate all of those in this, since the goal of it is to be a scrappy quilt. So I bought some, like, because I don't know that the scraps I have are gonna be enough, because I'm not a seasoned quilter. I don't have closets full of scraps. So I bought this fat quarter bundle, which is called Vintage Companion, Farm Girl Vintage Companion Prints. So I think they have a Farm Girl Vintage bigger collection with lots of prints, and then this is companion prints. So I thought these were fun, nice bright colors and I think they'd coordinate well with the blocks that will be in the quilt and with my fabric that I already have. And there's also a few more that are like chicks. So cute. And then this is Best Friends Backgrounds, which is some lighter ones, because I don't have a lot of lighter colors for backgrounds. I have a little bit of leftover fabric, maybe even some of this from my So Happy one, because I think this is my around border. I don't remember. I haven't actually finished that one into a quilt. I've just pieced the front. One of these days, I will get up the courage to do that. But I thought I needed some more backgrounds. And then they also had like sashing to go in between all the blocks. And so I got this fabric to be that sashing, which is I think the called for. And this was a backing fabric, which might also be the called for, which I thought were really pretty and would go really well with the other things that I got. So I'm excited. So I'll be working on that. The SAL starts October 31st. And I think that's when you get the layout for this particular arrangement of blocks. And they're gonna do one block every week starting October 31st. So there's like 31 blocks, I think. So it's gonna take a little while to get through everything. So I might start sewing ahead of time, since the change of the year tends to be a busy time. If I have time, I might start sewing early before October 31st so that I can have a few, like get a running start. But then I'll show you like once a week the block for that week according to their schedule. And then hopefully get it all put together. My mother-in-law is a seasoned quilter, so I'm gonna have her help me when it comes time to the actual quilting of it, because I've never actually quilted a quilt. The ones I made earlier in high school and college, I just tied with string because my machine probably wouldn't handle it. I am gonna try machine quilting on my machine for the little So Happy one, because it's a small one. but I haven't actually done any big quilting. I don't really want to send away for someone else to do it, so we'll have to see if she has a good, some good tips. So that's my plan for that one. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I don't know if I mentioned, the quilt pattern will be going up on their blog on October 31st. I believe it's free, but you do need the details in the book. So you will need to pick this up if you're gonna do it. And then you can do like all of your own fabrics, because the point is to have, to use the scraps that you already have. So if you're a quilter, you probably have some scraps. She has this little section in the front that talks about her organization system, where she has strips of all different kinds in different colors, and that's how she organizes it. And so then when she needs to go do a quilt, she has like little squares too, strips and squares. Then she can just pick, oh, I need a red in this size, and then she goes to her red bucket and does that. So I don't have my stuff organized quite like that, so mine will be a little bit different in being able to facilitate making this quilt. But that's all right. Maybe as I go, I'll chop things up to have it like that in the future. I'm not sure. We'll see. I don't know how much quilting I'll be doing going forward, but I like it. I think it'll be fun to do more. So that's my plan. So yeah, I guess that's all for now. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Enjoy what you're cross stitching and possibly quilting, and have a wonderful week. Bye. Happy stitching.